Second Chronicles 25 through 28, and then Amos, Hosea, Jonah, and Micah. So we're going to be covering a lot of the Old Testament. And I think you already know. If you look on page 3, we do the whole Bible. If you stick around long enough, we'll go through all of it. Takes a little while, though. 10 years is a little while, but goes by faster than you think, doesn't it, Brother Homer? How many times have you gone through this? 4 or 5 times, yeah. Yeah, a lot of times. So we already went through Luke, and in the fall we're going to be doing 2 Corinthians. So another thing is, don't forget that in here on page 5, there's a QR code. So if you don't have time to read the Sunday school lesson, you can have somebody read it for you. And you just listen to it in your car or whatever. It's a pretty handy thing. So all you got to do is scan that, and that'll get you right in the right spot. So today we're going to talk about King Amaziah. That's the king who stopped short of the goal. And we're going to read about him a little bit. Our application is the student will be obedient to all the commandments of the Lord. And so we're going to take a look at Amaziah, where he was obedient to some of the commandments of the Lord, but not all. And so we'll get some more information on that. So if we take a look at 2 Kings 14, and if somebody would read up through verse 7, please. Thank you, Sister Helen. So you covered some history there. Our lesson today, we're talking about the weakness of man and the need to be forgiven. And when we are compared to the living God, all of us are weak. And you look at even presidents or kings or whomever, compared to God's capabilities, God's power, it's really not much of anything. And God does expect us to follow his commandments, and if we're a follower of him or his people. And when we don't, God is not happy. God is the one that forgives us of sins. He doesn't need redemption. He is actually the one that redeems us from our sins. God deals with his children like any good father would. He loves them, and when they disobey, he corrects them. Many people of this world get upset and detest the idea of discipline. Those who are wise understand how important it is. You can see that everywhere. You don't have to go very far to see that. You can walk outside and see that 5 minutes from now, where there's really just no discipline, no even a recognition that there's a God from a lot of people. God loves those that are his, chastens us when we are wrong, And all of us believers should praise God on how he deals with us. And in this case we're studying today, the people of the northern kingdom had greatly sinned against God, but he still loved them. The people of the southern kingdom did the same, but God still loved them too. So when we talk about the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, what is that all about? After Solomon died, the Hebrews became two separate, completely separate countries. hmm hmm And so there's a separation of the country. They had different kings. They had different everything. Uh, and this was after Solomon died, as you said. And as we just read here, excuse me, Amaziah became the ninth king of the southern kingdom, and that was following the assassination of his father Joash. And so Joash had been severely injured by the Syrian army when they invaded Jerusalem. And then after that, his servants conspired against him and killed him while he was lying in his own bed. And that was in Second Chronicles. So when Amaziah was only 25 years old, he began to reign after these events unfolded. So the name Amaziah means the Lord is mighty. And Amaziah is known for being a good king. He's known as being the father of another good king of Judah. Through his wife Jechaliah, Amaziah fathered Uzziah, who's the king of the south during the time of the prophet Isaiah. Even though he was known as being a good king, he did make bad decisions that are recorded in the scriptures. And he ended up reigning for 29 years in Jerusalem. And so we're going to see some more about that. Yeah, they didn't worship correctly. They had high places where they worshiped, which wasn't where the Lord told them they should worship. He had places set up for them to worship, and that's not where they decided to go. hmm Yeah. hmm hmm Yeah. And when you start doing it God's way, you stop doing it God's way, that's when you're going to start having trouble. And is God's way the easiest way to do things? Not always. Sometimes it is. In the long run, it is, right? Yeah. But at the moment, it may not seem like what you really want to do. Uh, and so we see here in the example of Amaziah, in verse 4, the high places were not taken away, as yet the people did sacrifice and burnt incense in the high places. And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hand, that he slew his servants which had slain the king his father. So was that something that was expected to happen? In verse 5? Yeah. And not just for the Hebrews, but for just any kingdom, whenever somebody took over, they pretty much killed whoever was in a conspiracy to kill the prior one. And a lot of times they'd kill their whole family. But if you look in verse 6 here, the children of the murderers he slew not, according unto that which is written in the book of the law of Moses. So what is he talking about there? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure it was tempting at the time to just go ahead and kill everybody to make it easy, but it did say here that he did follow the law of Moses. The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. And it says here, he slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000, and took Selah by war, and called the name of it Joktiel unto this day. So he was went into battle and won the battle, but then we're going to see some things that happened as a result of it afterwards that weren't as good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still true today. Yeah, absolutely, it is true today. We can do the best we can do, but we can't. We can encourage everybody to do things the right way, but sometimes that's all we can do. We do our best, and we can point people to the Lord, and we can admonish them. We can do all kinds of things, but still, it's a personal decision on each person's part what they decide to do or not to do. And they'll either decide for the Lord or they'll decide to do something else. And the Lord doesn't hold us responsible for what other people decide to do. Okay, let's take a look at verses 8 through 14.
King of Israel sent Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, give thy daughters to my son to wife. There passeth by a wild beast that was in Lebanon, and trod down the thistle. Thou hast indeed smitten me, and thy heart hath lifted thee up. Lord of this, carry it on. Or why shouldst thou meddle to thy hurt, that thou shouldst fall, even thou and Judah with thee? But Amaziah would not hear. Therefore the king Jehoash, king of Israel, went up, and he and Amaziah, king of Judah, looked one another in the face at Beth-shemesh, which belonged to Judah. Judah was put to the worst before Israel, and they fled every man to their tent.
Up there. Yeah.
Beth-shemesh, and came to Jerusalem, break down the walls of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim unto the corner gate, 400 cubits. He took all gold and silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord, and in the treasures of the king's house, and hostages, and returned to Samaria.
Thank you, Brother Jim. So what's happening in these verses? Yeah. So he's saying, why are you even doing this? Hmm. And as it turns out, he was right. And uh, so Amaziah was feeling really confident and seemed like he had accomplished a lot in this battle with Edom. And he slew 10,000 men there. And he thought, well, let's just keep it going. We were successful, so let's go do this again. And so he sent a messenger to the son of Jehoaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come, let us look each other in the face. And then Jehoash basically insults him and says, the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, give thy daughter to my son to wife, and there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon and trode down the thistle. And so he was more or less saying, you have no idea what you're getting into. You're asking for way more than you can handle. You're asking for way more than you can deal with. And this is a good opportunity for you to just stop this right now. Pretty much. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Yeah. No, he didn't. He didn't. And it just shows how when you don't go to God in the first place, it just keeps going. It just one bad thing leads to another bad thing, which just keeps on going until whatever, right? And you end up with all these results that you never wanted in the first place. But if you'd followed God's plan, you wouldn't have had to deal with all of that stuff. In verse 7, he slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000 and took Selah by war and called the name of it Joktheel unto this day. So it didn't say anything there about that being against God's wishes or anything like that. Uh, but clearly, when he was, and we'll see it in Second Chronicles here in a second, uh, the there was a prophet that was there with him and said, "Don't take these other ones with you. Don't take these mercenaries with you. You don't need you're God's people. You don't need all this." And the reason God didn't want all of these different things is because he wanted them to win, but he wanted them to win with God's help, not them figuring it out by themselves. And so we see battle over and over and over again that we're still talking about. We're still talking about David and Goliath today. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? And we're still talking about David and all the wars that he had. And we saw some of the strategies that he had, and the Lord told him what to do. He followed what the Lord told him. And right. God is stronger than everybody, everything. And so if we follow God, then we'll be all right. But Amaziah got up on the wrong track, and start all these things started happening that I think he had no control over. And I think Brother Mike hit it right on, is whenever those mercenaries attack their people, well, then their people want a revenge for that. So then it was just another thing leading to another thing. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
sit here and hear the word of God, sing praises to God, and then go out and do our thing. If we really want to do God's will, we got to dedicate our lives to it.
Hmm.
Most of us, we we'd be just like Israel. We can go our own path, but we'd be a lot we receive the word of God.
Yeah, well said, Brother Mike. We need to follow the Lord's will and follow what the Lord wants us individually to do. And if we do, God will bless us. It doesn't seem like a big mystery what he wants us to do. Read the Bible, we study it, it says what we should do. And I don't know, you just read it, it tells you. It tells you everything, right? So here's Amaziah, a king, and I think the expectations for kings is a lot because they're a leader of the people, and when they get it wrong, they're leading the whole country in the wrong way. And the Lord knows that, and the Lord remembers that, and deals with people accordingly, I think, much of the time. Okay, so let's see, we read all the way down. Okay, so they had this battle, and Judah was beaten, and not only were they beaten, but they went all the way to Jerusalem, and the wall in Jerusalem, where it says from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. So who knows how much 400 cubits is? Uh, I think it was a couple hundred yards is what I got out of it. But yeah, that's right. How many furlongs is it? So, so, but it's a good distance, right? So not only did they beat him in battle, they said, okay, we don't want to deal with this again. They did the same thing that they had done with the mercenaries. Yeah, they ransacked. They ransacked everything, including the temple, everything. So they took gold, silver, everything when they came. And verse 14 took all the gold and silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord and in the treasures of the king's house and hostages and returned to Samaria. So they weren't just losing a battle. They lost a lot economically. They lost a lot, and uh, so let's go ahead and read the rest of this here, which goes to verse 22, 15 to 22. Thank you, Sister Joanne. So we kind of saw the end of the story for Amaziah. So now we're going to look at a different perspective, which is over in Second Chronicles. So if you look in Second Chronicles 25, you get the same story but from a different perspective. Who would like to read the first 13 verses of that one?
His mother's name was Jehoiada. He did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, but not with the Now it came to pass, when the kingdom was established for him, that he slew his servants that had killed the king his father. But he slew not their children, but did as it is written in the law of the book of Moses, where the Lord commanded, saying, the father shall not die for the children, neither shall the children die for the father. But every man shall die. According to the and he numbered them from 20 years old and above, 300,000, able to go forth to war, beard and shield. He hired also of Israel for 100,000 silver. But there came a man of God to him, saying, O king, let not the army of Israel go with thee, for the Lord has not looked at with all the children of the people. But if thou wilt go, do it, be strong for battle, God shall make thee fall before the enemy. For And Amaziah said to the man of God, but what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel? The man of God answered, the Lord is able to give thee much more than this. Then Amaziah separated them, to wit, the army that was come to him out of Ephraim, to go home again. Wherefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in great anger. And Amaziah strengthened himself, left for his people, now he saw the children of Seir, 10,000.
13.
Other 10,000 left the line, and the children of Judah carried away captive, and cast them down on the top of the rock, and all were broken in pieces. But the soldiers of the army which Amaziah sent back, that they should not go with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Judah from Samaria even unto Bethhoron, and smote 3,000 of them, and took much spoil.
Thanks, Brother Mike. So we get a little bit different perspective with a few different pieces of information added in here. We see that didn't slay the children. We saw that before. And here, verse 5, Amaziah gathered Judah together and made them captains over thousands and captains over hundreds, according to the house of their fathers, through all Judah and Benjamin. And he numbered them from 20 years old and above, and found them 300,000 choice men, able to go forth to war, and could handle spear and shield. So Amaziah wasn't responding to some threat. He was creating the military of all these people, and he intended to go to war. And then in verse 6, he hired 100,000 mighty men of valor out of Israel for 100 talents of silver. And so if you look at my notes here say that that's 3.75 or almost 4 tons of silver. That's a lot. So they gave out of the country's treasury for these 100,000, and their rationale for doing it is they want to go to war and be sure that they were going to be successful. But there's nowhere in here that they were relying on the Lord or said that they sought the Lord or anything like that. And so this whole time, Amaziah is trying to do it on his own. And so oftentimes what happens here in the Bible, here in verse 7, there came a man of God to him saying, O king, let not the army of Israel go with thee, for the Lord is not with Israel, to wit, with all the children of Ephraim. If thou wilt go, do it. Be strong for the battle. God shall make thee fall before the enemy, for God hath power to help and to cast down. So he more or less said, if you take those with you, you're going to lose. And so Amaziah, he's already in a bad spot because he already spent all this money. He said, well, what about all this money that I spent, these talents which I've given to the army of Israel? And the man of God answered, the Lord is able to give thee much more than this. Yeah, and the answer that he gave was true. The Lord can give way much more than that, but you shouldn't have even spent that in the first place. That's not what the Lord wanted you to do. You didn't no need to do it. And he had done it anyway because he was relying on himself and his own strength and the strength of an army. But we know over and over again from so many examples in the Bible, it doesn't matter how many or numbers or conventional thinking on how strong somebody is. It matters whether God is on your side or not on your side. That's what matters. And so here Amaziah separated them, and their anger was greatly kindled as a result of it. So they got paid basically to do nothing, and they were said, never mind. You think they'd have been okay with that, but they weren't. They were like, we're paid to fight. We're going to fight somebody. So they went ahead and fought against their people. And so while Amaziah slew 10,000 of the children of Seir, another 10,000 left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive. And, and another 10,000 left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive and brought them to the top of a rock and cast them down. So they basically killed them in a pretty horrible way. But the soldiers that Amaziah sent back, they didn't go home. They actually fell on the cities of Judah and smote 3,000 of them and took much spoil. So it basically, his whole plan backfired on him. Yeah. 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 And they weren't doing it just to get paid. They wanted the spoils also. That's part of what they were assuming was part of their salary. Yeah. Yeah. So they were basically given a license to take whatever they wanted, and they were already made up their mind what they wanted. Yeah, they were gone. So yeah. So yeah, not to mention raiding the country, right? So raiding their resources. So he was in much worse shape than when he started. And so it was really kind of a fool's mission the whole time. Verse 14, now it came to pass after Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites that he brought the gods of the children of Seir and set them up to be his gods and bowed down himself before them and burned incense unto them. Well, this is... Yeah. So Amaziah is just making one bad decision after another one. And this decision here is, all this bad stuff happened, so I guess I'm just going to take these gods and worship these gods too. And the anger of the Lord was kindled even more against Amaziah. He was already mad at him, and now he's just making it even worse. And verse 15, why hast thou sought after the gods of the people, which could not deliver their own people out of your hand? And it came to pass, as he talked with him, the king said unto him, art thou made of the king's counsel? Forbear. Why shouldst thou be smitten? Then the prophet forbare and said, I know that God hath determined to destroy thee, because thou hast done this and hast not hearkened unto my counsel. So here's God's messenger telling him, he's like, I've heard enough. I don't want to hear anymore. I'm done. You're done. I don't want to hear any more about this. And so he was telling him what he should do. And because he wouldn't listen to what God wanted to tell him what he should do, he just said, God had determined to destroy you because you've done this. And you haven't hearkened unto my counsel. So it's not only that he made all these mistakes, which worshiping idols was, you could be killed for that under Mosaic law, but here he's saying it wasn't just bad that he did all these things, it's also because he didn't listen to what God wanted to tell him. Then Amaziah, king of Judah, took advice and sent to Joash, the son of Jehoaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come, let us see another in the face. And so that was the whole thing of having the battle that he shouldn't have got into in the first place. And so all of these things taken together just shows what happens when we turn ourselves off. We don't study the Bible. We don't pray. We don't go to church. We don't listen. We think we got all the answers, and we're just going to do it our way. And usually, it doesn't take long to see if you're a child of God for sure. It doesn't take long for the Lord to discipline you in those situations. And you may think you got it made for some amount of time, but it just doesn't work out. And you can't be a child of God and do all of these things and the Lord not notice. And you think, well, I'm just one person. I'm not a king. I'm not anybody important. But in God's eyes, if you're saying yourself a child of God, that's important. And we see that the angels rejoice when someone turns their lives over to the Lord. And if the angels are going to do that for every one of us, surely they don't forget about us after that moment, right? I think now we're just now they're watching everything that we're doing. The Lord's watching everything we're doing. So Amaziah did some things right, but at the end of his life, he did a lot of things wrong. Building idols and worshiping idols and allowing that to happen, that was completely wrong. We saw that. And he failed to remove the high places, which were unlawful places to worship. And he just, he had it figured out what he wanted to do, but he didn't seek the Lord's will. And you really didn't see any place during this whole thing that he sought the Lord. And we see that for many other kings in the Bible. We see that for many other faithful people in the Bible. We don't see it for him. And so why did we study about Amaziah today? Why was that important? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it didn't really talk much in what we read, but when the leader, like in this case Amaziah, allows idols to be worshipped, how many people are treating that as their God as a result of that? How many people are going the wrong way going a completely different direction than God. And so, yeah, yeah, some of them were already doing it wrong by burning the incense in the high places, and then other ones from the people they captured brought the idolatry back with them. And so they said, yeah, we're going to do this. And so it's completely off on the wrong track. And whenever one of us does something that's on the wrong track, how many people are we showing a bad example? Hmm. Yeah, he was worshiping idols. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, if that person can do it, then I can do it, right? Yeah. And so, and you never, yeah, it did. Yeah, it sure did. Had a huge impact. Yeah. Yep. It was a disaster, really was. And so, and you can do some things right and a few things wrong, and it's still going to end up really badly, right? And so we just have to be strong in our faith that when the Lord wants us to do something a certain way, just try to continue to do it the way the Lord wants us to do it. And sometimes you get tired, frustrated, whatever it is, just pray about it. Um, we don't have to have all the strength on our own. Lord teaches us that. Lord wants us to seek His will every day and to ask for His help every day. And if we do that, Lord helps us. But if we don't do it, it's just kind of saying the same thing of, well, I'm relying on myself today. I think I can figure it out without the Lord today. And you can't get very far like that. Um, we just need to study, understand what the Lord wants us to do, and just do it as best we can. And when we struggle, ask for the Lord's help, and hopefully not mislead anybody or lead anybody in the wrong direction when we make mistakes. Okay, well, that's all we got for today. Got 2 minutes. Got bonus time, Brother Jim.